Hey guys, welcome back to Bearded Lumber. Matthew and I greatly appreciate you tuning in. You can see behind me, we have a pile of cedar. For you guys that's never sawed cedar, it can be a challenge. Cedar don't grow nice and tall and straight like a pine or a white oak or something. They're very knotty, gnarly, they got limbs everywhere. So we're gonna talk about how we're gonna work through this in today's video. So hang on and we'll be right back. Okay guys, like I said, we got this pile of cedar we're going to go through. Cedar's an easy wood to saw, but it does come with some challenges. Just the tree itself, it's got a lot of knots and stuff. Some of this we'll probably have to trim the knots a little closer where they didn't get cut off. This is another hurricane tree, come down in the lady's yard, good customer of ours, she dropped it off. This is where you have to sometimes educate your customer. I asked her what she wanted. She said, just square edge boards. Well, if you square edge cedar, normally with the amount of taper in a 8-foot log, you know, you're 12 inches on one end, it might be 6 on the other. Time I square edge that, you're lucky to get a 5x5 or 6x6. So I took a moment and educated her. I said, the best thing to do with cedar is I'll try to get you one square side, and then we'll let the other side run with the taper. That way, if you need a 4-foot board a little wider, you can cut it off. If you need the whole length, you can rip it down to whatever width you want. I said, well, once I saw it off, it's gone. So there's a couple of these that are pretty cylindrical. We'll try to square edge as much as we can. But if it's got any taper at all, I'm gonna live edge it. She just wanted 1-inch boards. Now there's a couple pieces that they brought that we're not even gonna attempt to saw. They're too small. One of them's too short. And I pointed that out to her when they dropped them off. She's gonna take them back, use them as a bed post or something. So we'll set them to the side and then they'll go back home with her, because we're gonna mill it and dry it. So it's a 2-step process. Today's part is try to get it milled up, ready to go in her kiln. It's coming to an end of a cycle, hopefully within, today's Thursday for us, probably end up Saturday or Sunday. Come Monday morning we'll reload it and this will go in with it. So enough talking about it. You can see the sun is bright, it's a beautiful day. We're gonna get it in here in the shade and start sawing on it. Okay, Matthew pointed out something a little unusual on this tree. I'm gonna have him do it again.
It's a triple trunk tree. You don't see it often, where it's got 3 and it grows together and comes back apart at the other end.
Yep, 3 of them are growing up from one root, and in some places they're blended together so well. You can see here the separation, but here they grew together so good you can't even see it. So how do you solve this mess? Well, let's look right here. This is what I'm looking at. You know, I'm just gonna come in here and probably take a couple 1-inch cuts off till I get a decent flat spot. Go here and do the same thing. That's all you can do. This tree's got some issues, and the only way to find out what they are is just open it up and look. We may find a lot of bark inclusion where those 3 trees grow together. It's a home tree, yard tree. They wanted it sawed. They're gonna get it sawed. I just know they're not gonna get the best wood out of it. One of the little short pieces I seen out there had some We call it heart punk. Had the hearts already going soft on it, so we're gonna do the best we can with what we got. So hang on. I'll probably make a good many flitches on this and just let Matthew run them through the edger because they're light. They're not heavy to handle, and they're gonna be irregular. And he can either double side them or single side flitch them right through the edger, make it real quick. Unfortunately, they didn't cut the logs all the same length. This one's 13 and the other ones are 8, and I think one of them's even 7 and one of them was like 4. So it's gonna be a random Dukes mix, but we're gonna work through it. Part of it being a sawmill, not every job's a big old monstrous order. We just finished one a little while ago. It's 32 by 6s for a good customer. It all adds up at the end of the day. It's work to do. We're very appreciative of having it. If you're some of our customers watching, we appreciate your business. So let's get everything fired up, turn the fan back on. For some reason, here at the end of October, it's 80 degrees. It's hot. So we're gonna turn the fans on and get sawing. Okay, guys, sorry about that. Welcome back. You can tell the sun's changed. It was over there. It's over here. It got late today. I had customers come by and pick up some wood. Time we got all that dealt with, I done lost my lost my gumption to saw, so we just called it quits. Had a couple other things we needed to work on. But we're back this morning on our cedar. I will tell you that first log we sawed was full of ants. Couldn't tell it from the outside. I knew it wasn't gonna be great, but we got in it, and I mean, there was a colony of black ants. Now, this other log, it looks to be a better log. It's single trunked. It's got a lot of knots. This is a typical eastern red cedar, juniper, whatever you want to call it. I get people a lot call me, you got any cedar? And I tell them no. Well, why not? I said, because I don't buy that garbage anymore. And I'll show you why. I love the wood. It's just in our area. Nobody's replanting it. All the trees are old, and this is what you get. See that right there? That's called punky. That's a soft heart. This spot here, this here, here, there. I have sawed enough of that to tell you that after I saw that log, dry that log, 50% of it's going to be garbage. It's just the way it is. Because that heart that's already died and starting to shrink, it will only grow. There'll be more of it. And that's why I don't buy this wood here locally, because 75% of it's going to look just like this. It looks good on the outside, and you go to saw it and dry it, and the whole heart just disintegrates. I had a building full of it up here, and I probably give away or threw away 50% of it because it wasn't fit to sell. And that's a beautiful pile of wood. But when it got down to getting rid of it, I had, 8, 10-inch wide boards. The heart's just gone. And anytime somebody buys some, I just give them 3 or 4 boards, just give it away, get rid of it, because I couldn't use it, can't sell it. So that's why I don't fool with cedar around here no more. Now, I know if you go out west a little bit further, Alabama, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, they have some beautiful cedars. Maybe the climate's different, maybe the tree's a little different, I don't know. But around here, this is what we're getting nowadays. Very seldom do you get a solid cedar tree that when you cut it and dry it, you anticipate 100% success rate. This, I can tell you right now, time it comes out of the kiln, it's gonna look like this over here. Okay. This will dry up, not be no good. This, that, all of this will shrink and just come apart. This part of the tree, looks pretty good. Don't see any heart problems with it. But if you go down a board or two, look at that. That won't get any better when you dry it. Trust me, it'll only get worse. And if it's your wood and you're gonna take it home and use it, that's fine. I mean, you just cut around what you can't use and use it. But if I'm trying to sell you a piece of wood that looks like that, I about gotta pay you to take it because it looks so horrible. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. Let's talk about this log. For a cedar, it looks pretty good, as far as the exterior. Don't have a lot of taper from end to end. It does have a lot of knots. This is typical cedar, knot. They're all limbs. If a cedar tree don't get pruned in its lifetime, it'll have limbs from the ground to the crown. That's just the way they grow. That's why they make good hedgerows, whatever. But for a cedar, that's about acceptable. I mean, you ain't gonna get much better than that. They don't grow slick barked. We got 3 more little ones to do, and we'll be done with this. This I'll probably try to, 4-side square as much as I can, since the log has no taper. Now, if this log was 18 inches on this end and 6 inches on this end, I would definitely cut it live edge. That way you get a board that's 6 to 18 inches wide. If I square edged it, you're basically gonna get a 6x6. That's all you're gonna get out of it. So you gotta play the game, whatever the wood will give you. I love cedar. I wish we could get more of it. I like doing woodworking with it, but this kind of quality, I just can't even waste my time fooling with it to cut, dry, 1,000 board feet, knowing I'm only gonna get 400, maybe. Might not even get that. So enough talking. Let me get everything turned on. Probably throw you on a little time lapse, try to work my way through it. You got to be on your game when you're sawing these, guys. If you're running a 35 has a manual guide arm movement. If I'm not sure on the 40s, I know 50s and 70s, you got a button on the dash. You can move your guide arm in and out. You got to stay on your game because you're coming through it. try that again. GoPro didn't want to work. 2 reasons I stopped where I did. You seen that log roll off? That is how quick that can happen. That's why you want nobody on this side of the mill. That log was covered up in knots, and when I raised the arm up to grab it, it was underneath it, and it just bumped it, and whoop, it rolled right off. Just that quick it can happen. And it's not a big log, but somebody standing here could easily break a leg. If it's a kid, it could really do a lot of damage, so always bear that in mind. Secondly, we broke a blade a little while ago, and it was actually yesterday, but I didn't stop and talk about it. It was a 55 thousandths Turbo 7, and it was sawing great, and I went into the cut, and as soon as I went into the cut, I'm normally watching one or both blade guide rollers, and I seen that blade start to walk, and normally it'll do that, and within the length of a cut it'll break, but as soon as it started to wobble, it broke, and it shot that thing right out the floor. That's why you don't need people around that don't know what's happening, don't know when things are going to go bad. Matthew, he's seen enough of them. He knows if he sees that blade wobbling, it's getting ready to break, and we're going to run it till it breaks anyway. But it did. That one snapped at just the right opportunity. It went underneath the blade guide arm, and it shot the whole blade out on the floor, minus about this much that was still, on the mill. But if you'd been standing over there, now granted that blade wasn't brand new, wasn't sharp, super sharp, but you wouldn't want it running across the shin. You'd need stitches, because it'd come out of there in a pretty good hurry, which is unusual. You don't see that happen a lot, but I have seen it, a handful of times over the years, that it breaks in just the perfect spot, and you're not deep enough into the cut to where the cut's got a little tension on it, and that thing will just squirt right out. So this little tech tip, if you're watching your blade, and you should be, and normally it'll move just a little bit, but if you start to see it move a good bit, that's an indication that you got a stress crack or a weld that's getting ready to come apart. And if you're scared of it breaking, stop right there, take your blade off. I guarantee you, if you go around it and look, you'll find a stress crack or a weld that's getting ready to fail. So just wanted to point that out. Didn't want to gloss over it. Got our last 2 logs here. This is actually pretty good for a cedar, other than it's got some heart rot at the end of it. So I know that when it dries, it's not going to be the best in the world. But as far as taper, it's not bad. This on the ground is kind of a more typical treetop cedar. About 8 inches, maybe 10 at the widest point here. And you're lucky on the other end if you get 5 or 6. And that's what you're going to find when you start getting up to the top of a cedar. There'll be a tremendous amount of taper. And you can either square it up, make a 4x4, 5x5, or in this case, I'll probably live edge a lot of it just to keep from throwing it away. So, enough talking. Let me get everything turned back on. I had to find you guys another place to get sun. This time of year, late October, the sun's falling down the sky further and further. And the way our building lays, morning sun's horrible. So hang on, we'll get right back at it, guys. Okay guys, unfortunately, this is something else you'll run into a lot with cedar, is ants. Lots of them. Now, this is a unusual problem with cedar. Cedar is a bug resistant wood. A healthy cedar, ants won't bother. It's pest resistant to a great deal. But what happens in these cedars, when they get that heart rot, I guess the biological makeup changes, and they eat that heart rot, and they move in. Now they won't eat the good wood. They'll steer around it. Wherever that rotten heart is, they'll follow that thing all the way up the tree. And it seems to make a good home for them. But you will run into a lot of this, unfortunately. Another good reason to kiln dry this stuff, you know, I'm knocking all the ants I can off into my sawdust pile. We'll scoop them up and they'll go in the burn hole. But if I get some over here in this stack of lumber, I don't want to send them home with the lady and they actually accidentally put them in their house, which they wouldn't green anyway. But we'll run it through the kiln, and I can guarantee you, after a week of 100 to 120 degrees and then a day above 135, they won't make it out. So that's one of the important reasons to kiln dry. So let me move the slabs. I got one more little log down there, and we're gonna finish this up. I enjoy sawing this stuff. It's a challenge because every log is shaped differently. They're not normally bent or bowed. They just got a lot of taper, a lot of knots you got to work around. The wood saw is very good. No complaints with the sawing of it. The knots they're hard, but it's not like white pine where you're constantly jumping over them. They're not near as hard as a white pine knot. So the wood saw's good and flat. Saw's like poplar, ash, you know, some of your softer, more stable species. So enough talking. Give me just a minute. I'll be right back. There it is. That's a whole pile of cedar. It's not the greatest quality. If you watched all the way through the video, you know you've seen a lot of defects in it, but it's what the customer brought. It's what they're gonna get back. That little pile of mess was somewhere between 350, 375 board feet. I'll figure it up here in a minute, but it yielded pretty good. We didn't waste much. I tried to be as frugal as possible because cedar's hard to come by. Good cedar's even harder to come by around here. And some of these pieces will dry out real good, then some of them won't. Now that being said, that heart rot can be a benefit if you saw like 2-inch slabs, dry it, and then chip out all that dead heartwood. It'd make a beautiful epoxy table, epoxy bench, coffee table, end table, because the wood's already rotted out of the heart, so you can replace it with something. I watch YouTube videos, people doing deep pours, and it's interesting. Different things they can do with drizzling colors in there, making it look like a beach scene, night scene, putting LED lights in it. So there's a lot you could do with that. You just need to communicate that to your customer up front of what their expectations are, and then what is they're going to get back. You know, try not to surprise your customer. If you know they're bringing you subpar stuff, tell them that. You know, tell them up front that, hey, this wood is not going to cut the best lumber. What are you wanting to do with it? If you're framing a chicken house, probably good. You want to put it in your house? Let's find something better. I've got a whole bunch of subpar oak out here that got hauled in from cleaning up from the hurricane, and some of it be okay for boards, you know, 1, 2, 3 grade type stuff, but he's wanting fence posts and fence boards. Perfect for what he got. They're not huge trees. They're a little more juvenile, but for 1x6s and 4x4 posts, they'll be great for that. So always try to keep that in mind. You should be a pro at your craft, or, you know, in my case, I'm continually learning, trying to be better, and I try to pass that on to my customers. If I see an issue, try to educate them up front so that they're not disappointed when they get back a pile of wood like this that has some obvious defects, and they're going to get worse after I dry it. You know, and another thing on sawing this wood does not yield good board foot by the hour. So you need to tell them up front, you know, we're not sawing 16-foot long, 24-inch round yellow pine where I can really just hammer through the board footage. We're sawing little dinky logs, oblong, tapered, you know, and I got a profit margin I got to meet, and I'm not going to do this for free. So, you know, there's got to be a time aspect to that. Maybe you do an hourly charge, or you just do a little higher board foot charge. It's up to you to decide. Just communicate with your customer up front so that they're not shocked, surprised. Most people will pay good money for good work. And if you explain to them that what they're wanting you to do is out of the normal, and it's going to cost you more time, more effort, more money into it to get what they want back, they can understand that. And if they don't, you know, you did your part, you informed them, they can make an informed choice and do whatever. So that's going to do it today, guys. We appreciate you watching. I hope you learned something. This cedar can be a challenge sometimes just because of the odd shapes. Didn't say it before, but like always, we're running a Wood Mizer double hard turbo 7 blade. These are actually 45 thousandths. Get a little chatter in it, and that's because the blades are so old. I've got about 15 more, and when I go through them this time, I'm probably gonna break them all and be done with them and start with 2 new packs I got over there. So, but we buy our blades from Joe Maine. He works for Wood Mizer now. He is their traveling blade specialist. His information will be in the description below. I just talked to him yesterday, the day before. I actually ordered some blades for myself and reiterated the fact that we were still putting his cell phone number out there, and if he was okay with that. He said 100% absolutely. Call him if you're needing blades. He is working for Wood Mizer as one of their blade experts, and that's what he wants to do, sell blades. So give him a call. He'll be glad to help you out. If you got an issue, he can put you in touch with the right people. He did that for me when I first met him, had some issues, put me in touch with the blade specialist from higher up at Wood Mizer, and we got problems solved. So thanks, Joe. We greatly appreciate you, brother. As always, thank you to Matthew and Solomon for doing our videos. They do an awesome job. Check out Solomon's channel, Third Beard Fishing, as well as 525 Designs. We're going to get out of here, guys. Hope you had a good day, a good week. We'll see you back at the mill.
Thank you for watching. Here's a video selection and a playlist suggestion. Click here to subscribe for more great content. We'll see you at the mill.